Hello, everybody. Welcome to everyone who's hopping on. This is the Sierra Club's political program launch call, and we are super excited to have you all joining us this evening. We are going to get started formally in just a couple of minutes, so feel free to put your name and where you're calling from and what brings you to this work in the chat of whatever streaming platform that you're using. So thanks so much for being here, and we'll get started in just a second. And thanks to the folks who are hopping on, we are going to get started with our political program launch call pretty quick. So feel free to put in the comments of whatever streaming service you're currently using, your name, where you're calling in from, and what brings you to this important work. I see folks calling in from California. I see someone from Mississippi. So excited to have you all here. Please keep putting your location and your name and what brings you to this important work in the chat. And we'll get started here in just a couple of seconds. Wow, a lot of folks are joining us from all over. So excited to have you here this evening. Welcome to the folks who are just hopping on. My name is Bria. I'm with the Sierra Club, and I am so excited to see so many new and familiar faces. Welcome, everyone, to our 2020 political team launch call. And I'll hand it over to Megan for just a second.
Hey, everyone. I'm Megan with the Sierra Club. We're so excited that you all are here tonight.
Awesome. So excited to have everybody here this evening to kick off the Sierra Club's political work on the 2022 midterm election this year, and really welcome everybody into our plan for long-term power building that's going to take us through November and beyond. So no matter where you are or where you call home, we all deserve to breathe fresh air, drink clean water, and live and work in a clean economy and a thriving community. But a select elite few are intent on furthering divisions among us, all in the name of greed and self-interest. Nonetheless, we've shown them what unified power looks like when we've come together despite our differences in race, gender, religion, and zip code. Political work, politics, and elections are a key part in the plan to win both a just, equitable society and a livable planet that all of us deserve. So we've had over 850 people sign up for this call, which, as you probably know, is currently being live streamed on Facebook and YouTube. We are so grateful for each of you taking time out of your day across the country to join us for this interesting and awesome conversation. So while we are waiting for folks to hop on, I'm going to invite you again to use the comment section on YouTube or Facebook to share your name and where you're from in the comment stream today. And if you're comfortable, if you've ever volunteered with the Sierra Club or anywhere else that's done political work, feel free to share how you volunteered in the past. I'm seeing a lot of folks. Hello, folks from, we've got a lot of folks calling in from California today. And we've got someone calling in from Georgia. Hello. So excited to see folks from all over. Oh, we've got another Coloradan. Nice to see you. Awesome. We've got so many folks from all over. So excited to have you here. All right. So now that we're getting started, I want to share a few technical notes. So first, we have moderators who are going to help us answer some questions and offer support for this call, both in the comments section for Facebook and YouTube. We'll also be sharing tips and links in the comments section throughout this evening. And finally, this live stream is going to be recorded and shared in case you have to miss it or in case you have to drop off. So on that note, I'm going to hand it over to Megan.
Thank you, Bria. Hello, I'm Megan. I want to also welcome you to this call and share a little bit about our agenda. Right now, I want to share a list of our great presenters that we have today. We have Susana, the Sierra Club National Volunteer Co-Lead for the political program, as well as Ben, a volunteer from Minnesota, to share their perspective. Then we will hear from Bob, our senior field director at the Sierra Club, who is thinking about our larger grassroots power building program. And then from our political team staff, we'll hear from Sarah, the national political director, and Laurel, our senior lead political representative, as well as Natalie from Minnesota. We are going to start with a welcome and vision for building people power and political power. Then we will share Sierra Club's plan for action and what your role is in it. In fact, we will have an invitation for you to get started right away, and we really hope that you will join us. Finally, I just wanted to share with you the meeting intentions we are bringing to this call. In particular, it's important to note that this comment stream is for engagement and kindness only. So please put your pluses in there, your exclamation points, all of that good stuff. The Sierra Club doesn't tolerate racism, misogyny, xenophobia, or hate of any kind. So while we don't expect to see that tonight, we did want to let you know we will remove folks who exhibit that behavior in the comment stream. So now I get to have the pleasure of introducing Susana. Susana, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for that introduction. Hello, change makers. I'm Susana Reyes, the National Political Volunteer Co-Lead and former Sierra Club National Board of Director. I live in the city of LA on the traditional territory and homeland of the Gabrieno Tongva peoples. I use she, her as my pronouns. Like Bria, Megan, and our team here, I am so excited you all are here today. I'm here because I'm passionate about policy making, politics, and building power. My passion leads me to this collective vision and action to take part and shape the decisions that affect our lives. I came here as an immigrant from a country whose citizens to this day continue to experience marginalization and injustice while bearing the brunt of climate change impacts. I've witnessed firsthand decades of politics which have fostered nepotism and favoring of fossil fuel interests. I have made a commitment to protect the planet and its peoples and resources through politics and conservation. I have advocated for change and marched and rallied political leaders because I know that every law, every rule, and every policy affects people and their lives. Combating the climate change crisis requires collective planning, strategies, and action, and that includes political program. We are powerful together when we collaborate based on just relationships of mutual trust, respect, and solidarity. The Sierra Club has a key role in the work to transform our society and save our planet, and that role is multifaceted. So part of that work includes electing candidates who support and advance environmental protection and who share equity, justice, and inclusion values. A lot of us, our states have gone through the primary. We've looked at those results. We got excited. We got frustrated sometimes. But hey, this is our business. This is our work. We want to raise public awareness of environmental issues and elevate the issues for electeds in government so that they become better champions for the issues and policy priorities. We also want to build on the successes of the 2020 general election cycle. Remember that? That election cycle mobilized over 35,000 volunteers. So our 2022 and beyond political program will seek to build on the energy of the midterms to galvanize chapters' capacity to effectively implement a political program that is in alignment with Sierra Club goals. We also want to recruit, train, and deploy a stable cadre of volunteers. You. We also want to recruit and train candidates who will champion Sierra Club values and vision over the years. And it will mean that we will be investing in long-term power building strategy to achieve our 2030 and 2050 climate goals. Our political program is deeply connected to achieving Sierra Club's goals. And these goals aim to protect, 30% of our US lands and water and cut the nature equity gap in half. Another goal of the Sierra Club is to restore access to clean air and clean water, provide affordable clean energy, support family-sustaining jobs, and address inequities in our response to climate disruptions. Coupled with that goal is to transform our energy system by stopping the expansion of the oil and gas industry, replacing fossil fuels with clean energy, and shifting trillions of public and private dollars from the fossil fuel economy, and last but not least, building power by diversifying and expanding our base of millions of members and supporters. Political power backed by people are essential components of the big goals Sierra Club is reaching for, all with you by our side. Together, we can shape the politics of the possible. And now it's my pleasure to turn this over to Bob.
Thank you so much, Susana, and welcome everybody. It's a thrill to be in community with many friends and many folks who I don't know. Thank you so much for showing up and being with us on this call tonight. Susana laid out my name is Bob Bingman, he, him, from Tacoma Park, Maryland, which is occupied Piscataway land, and I'm the Sierra Club Senior Field Director. Susana laid out the big long-term goals for the Sierra Club, and be curious to have you all drop in the chat. What is it that motivates you to fight to protect the environment? Susana mentioned protecting 30% of U.S. lands and water, cutting the nature gap in half, restoring clean air, clean water, providing affordable clean energy, transforming our energy system by stopping oil and gas. Just curious, what motivates you all to be engaged in the work of the Sierra Club? Feel free just to drop a couple thoughts in the chat there. Kelly, I am totally with you. I am here because my son told me I had to come to work for the Sierra Club so he could raise his kids on a healthy planet. For our future, reducing for my granddaughter's future. I see a theme developing here. Thanks, y'all. Keep dropping those in the chat. That's how we get to know each other a little bit and be in community with each other. I wanted to ground us a little bit for this evening in the awareness that the Sierra Club has been engaged in political campaign work almost since the beginning of the 19th century. And we are proud to say for the duration of that time, it's been a volunteer-led, staff-supported program that holds decision makers accountable for their votes that they directly, when they're in direct conflict with the Sierra Club's goal and mission. And it's important to acknowledge that history because it demonstrates our persistence, our fire, our fight, and that we can inform, inspire us for fights we have coming up. If you care about protecting the planet, you should care about being involved in elections. Elections have consequences and impact our ability to advance the issues that you all are dropping in the chat. We can see in the work that we have been doing the past few years to prevent the worst rollbacks during the Trump era, to work hard to try and pass environmental legislation during the first 2 years of the Biden administration, that we need to have a long-term perspective on our work. We need to have a 50-year strategy for our movement to counter what honestly has been the fruits of 50-year strategy that has been led by conservatives. We also need to see that the fights we take on in our sphere of influence on the environment and climate are fundamentally connected to fights we see across the political spectrum. The same forces that minimize individuals' health and well-being, for corporate profits by stripping power from regulatory agencies like the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, are the forces that seek to restrict women's access to safe and equitable abortion, are the same forces that would limit workers' right to organize. It's the same forces that are limiting voters' right to vote. And it's the same forces that are not held accountable and do not put the health of our communities first. So where does that put us in 2022? Where does the Sierra Club fit in the fight? Where do you fit? And how can you feel like you're making a big contribution over the next 2 years? We believe that the answer is for you to join us and get involved in the Sierra Club's political program. And I see many of you have already, and thank you so much for those of you that have. Join us and help us engage your peers, other Sierra Club members and supporters who've taken action with the Sierra Club in the past. We're inviting you to get involved now to build the power we need so that this fall we can talk to voters, educate them, agitate them, organize them to take collective actions at the polls. It's not just work, it'll be a lot of fun, and you'll make a lot of friends in the process. We're going to work hard to elect candidates this election cycle, but looking beyond the elections, we'll be working to support you and your continued engagement in 2023 and beyond in our local, state, chapter, and national lobbying efforts so that the people we get to know, the systems and skills you learn, the power we build doesn't go away. We'll pivot and immediately start using that power to generate yes votes on issues that matter to us in the future. The Sierra Club's political program is amazing for so many reasons. But again, for me, what stands out is that it's absolutely dependent on the work of volunteers across the nation. That's why I, as a staff person, work at the Sierra Club, is because of the power and hard work and dedication of our volunteers at the national, chapter, and local level. People make deep commitments of their time and energy to show up, to engage others, and to support others in the activities of the Sierra Club. I'm about to turn it over to Sarah Burton, who's our national political director. And again, I want to thank Susana Reyes, who heads up our small cadre of national volunteers, advising our chapter and group political committees across the country. But before I do turn it over to Sarah, I want to remind you all that you can take a sneak peek on how you can get involved in the Sierra Club's electoral efforts. We're going to drop a link in the chat, and you can see the options that we're putting out there. Just in summary, we want to invite you to make the Sierra Club your permanent political organizing home, and we're so grateful that you're with us tonight. Thank you so much, and let me turn it over to my friend Sarah.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you everyone for joining tonight. I am so excited to see you all, some old faces, some new faces. Really, really excited to talk to you about our program. My name is Sarah Burton. I'm the National Political Director. I use she, her pronouns. I would start by saying there are a lot of things I could say about the state of politics and the state of climate politics in 2022. But tonight, I really want to talk about where Sierra Club is on these issues, what our plan is, and most importantly, where we need you and how you can get involved. As an organization, the Sierra Club is committed to creating a healthy climate, and that has to be built on a foundation of environmental, racial, economic, and gender justice, a future where all people benefit from a healthy, thriving planet and a direct connection to nature. That is the backdrop for our plan, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we will leverage our work in politics to achieve that vision. So for this cycle, 2022, the core elements of our plan are go deep, go local. That means we are focusing on the down ballot races, governor races and below, where our issues are on the ballot and where Sierra Club can be the effective messenger to educate voters and encourage them to vote in those down ballot races. Local races have huge, huge impacts on communities and on environmental and conservation issues, but people don't always know what those offices do or who to vote for or why they're important. So we can help be the messenger there. We look for the places that don't get as much attention where we can have a real impact places where we can build on the work of past cycles and continue to build power for reaching those future goals like Bob was talking about. Our priority states for this cycle are Georgia, Arizona, Michigan, Minnesota, and Nevada. So what this means, like I said, is a focus on governor races, state legislative races, and public service commission or PSC races. For those who don't know, those are the entities that regulate utilities and have a huge environmental impact. So we're prioritizing the places where local investment can trickle up to impact a highly competitive federal race and maximize our resources in terms of which voters we're talking to. And our goal in doing that work is the long-term power building. We will be recruiting and training a distributed volunteer base with an emphasis on power building for chapters, for our local groups, for reaching our long-term goals as Sierra Club. The core of our strategy is person-to-person communication that's based on the research about what we know is the most effective way to win voters. And the foundation of our approach is targeted messaging. Our issues are on the ballot this cycle, and we need to make sure that voters have the information they need. We're primarily targeting people who just need more information, so they are comfortable filling out their ballot. People who have a high environmental score and we know care about our issues. Maybe they're a new voter or under age of 22 and just looking for more information to understand why those down ballot races have an impact on their community. And before I turn it over to our next speaker, I just want to say, personally, I've worked in politics for the last 15 years. And last cycle, what really hit home to me was the power of individual action. I remember sitting around my kitchen table with my stepson, who was 13 at the time, and my husband. And over the course of a few months, we wrote together over 500 letters. And that act of writing 500 letters, repeated by many of the folks on this call, made a difference. And everyone who took a similar action made a difference. And now I have a 1-year-old daughter, and I want her from the earliest possible moment to know that her voice can make a difference. And now I'm going to pass it over to Laurel.
Thank you, Sarah. My name is Laurel. I use they, them pronouns, and I am the senior lead political representative, which really means I focus on state and local elections and have for the past 2 years. Before coming to the Sierra Club, I was, well, at many jobs before. I was an organizer in training for a group in Colorado working to, among many other things, get in-state tuition for undocumented students. And I saw firsthand the impact of elections. Our students did everything that we asked of them. They showed up, they organized in their communities, they made phone calls into state legislators' offices, they wrote postcards, and at the 11th hour, the bill was sent to a kill committee in the last week of the legislative session because it got out that we had convinced 2 Republicans to vote in favor of in-state tuition. And so the Speaker of the House, a Republican, sent the bill to a kill committee. Our students knew what that date meant. They knew that no matter what they said, no matter how many tears they shed, the bill was going to die in that committee, and they still showed up. They were mocked, they were treated horribly, but they didn't stop showing up. And when we were in the vestibule of the Colorado State Legislature, all of us were crying. And I said to a bunch of students that I had been working with, I understand if you all don't want to have our regular organizing meeting tomorrow night. And they looked at me and they said, give us the keys, because we are going to figure out how many voters we need to talk to in districts to get a Democratic majority so that we can pass in-state tuition for undocumented students. And ever since then, my career has focused on nothing but state and local elections, because I never want another organizer or volunteer working their tail off to make a positive difference in this world to not have the chamber majority they need to get that across the finish line. And these were elections that were decided by a few dozen votes. And they continue to be decided by very small margins. Often, these are the elections with the most immediate and profound impact on the environment and on our lives. It's city councils that give zoning rights to corporate polluters, public utility commissions that set renewable energy minimums or don't set any minimum at all. It's state legislatures that set fracking setbacks in our communities and determine what is an acceptable level of pollution in our streams and in our air. It affects all of us, but what motivates people to act is the threat to their local communities. And that is part of our strategy of Go Deep, Go Local. Part of being a grassroots movement is also recognizing where our federal priorities are defined, our states. Federal candidates win when they can show that they are responsive to the defining issues in their state. And so this election cycle, we are focusing on state and local issues and giving every elected official at every level of the ballot a mandate to act on climate. We believe that with y'all and with the Sierra Club's national chapter and group power, we can make local races the cornerstone of our political program this cycle and every cycle going forward. By doing this work, we're going to deliver the margin of victory in critical states and local races across the country. We're going to strengthen the strategic and tactical ability of our volunteer base across the country, both inside of our priority states and in our national distributed infrastructure. We're going to deepen and expand our volunteer base in both these crucial states, but also in all 64 chapters that are key to the achievement of Sierra Club's 2030 and 2050 goals. Without our volunteers, none of that is possible. So I'm going to pass it off to Natalie from the North Star chapter.
Hi everyone, my name is Natalie. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the lead organizer with the Sierra Club North Star chapter. I live on Dakota land in Minneapolis. I love electoral work at the Sierra Club chapter level because I think it is a great way to bring in new volunteers, folks like you all, in really powerful ways that end up developing volunteer leadership while we're building power for the long term. So in Minnesota, one of the priority states, we're going to let you know a little bit about what we're planning and doing. We are working to build a pro-climate majority in the Minnesota House and Senate. We know that our electoral work impacts a lot in all of our other campaigns in Minnesota. It, of course, impacts our work when we go to the legislature every winter, but it also impacts the tone of our local projects and other non-legislative campaigns. So here in Minnesota, Sierra Action and Sierra Votes are our year-round team that leads our on-the-ground election work as Sierra Votes, and then leads our power building as Sierra Action during the non-electoral times of the year. And to dig into that, I'm going to turn it over to our co-chair, Ben.
Thank you, Natalie. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Kunke. I use pronouns like he, him, and his. I live in Minneapolis on occupied Lakota land and am the co-chair of Sierra Votes for our local chapter. I'd like to talk today about what our work looks like and share an example of one race that we've worked in and its impact at the state level. To set the stage, this is a 2020 primary race for state office. The district is mainly in Duluth, which is a medium-sized city on the coast of Lake Superior, a few hours from the Twin Cities metro area. It's the largest town in the area and is shaped by mining, shipping, and other heavy industries. It's also the gateway for many outdoor recreation areas on the north shore of Lake Superior. It has a significant tribal community nearby and is often the location for many of our issues, such as coal plant closures, the Line 3 pipeline, and stopping dirty sulfide mining in northern Minnesota. We started long before the election by coordinating with our local Duluth team. We checked in with them to see if our interpretation of the political landscape and organizing opportunities were the same. And we quickly found out that the Democratic incumbent had a poor voting record with our key issues, So we started looking for potential challengers to see if there was a viable endorsement. Jen McEwen fit the bill for this race. Once there was a candidate endorsement, we hit the ground running to get Jen elected. We worked with the national political team to create a list of promising voters we could target. And then from there, the chapter sent out mailers with our values and how they aligned with Jen. We also sent out some negative mail about the Democrat that highlighted their regular voting against our interests. And we ran digital advertising with similar messaging. Jen ended up winning. Additionally, we used people power. Our team talked to a ton of voters during weekly phone and text banking. We were able to build a community among volunteers and support each other and have fun, which I'm sure for many people, we know that it can be a little intimidating to start out doing phone banking and calling people. So it's important to have a good group of people together. And that's also why we try and be consistent about this, so that we can kind of have a core team that knows each other and feels comfortable working with one another. Jen ended up winning her primary race and the general election. Since then, she's been a strong advocate at the state capitol, as well as shown leadership in the city climate and water issues in Duluth. I want to reiterate that we see our election work as being deeply connected with our issue work. A strong Sierra Votes effort strengthens our other issues. And it's fun to bring together volunteers across our chapters every 2 years or so, and also welcome in new folks. Thank you for your time today. I hope this gives you an idea of what our work looks like, and that I might get to see you later this summer on more calls. Megan will now introduce our next topic.
Great. Thank you so much, Ben. And thank you to all of our presenters so far. Tell us in the comments on YouTube and Facebook what you appreciated about what was brought up by Bob, Sarah, Laurel, Natalie, and Ben. You can put an exclamation mark in there. I know that I really appreciated hearing like the personal stories of experiences, especially Sarah talking about letter writing. I got a little emotional there just hearing her story. Give you guys a few seconds to put in the chat. Susan is thankful for explaining some of the ways to assist. Great. Well, I certainly appreciated it as well. So, you know, at the Sierra Club, we believe in the power of together. Together, we are a powerful collective of millions of change makers dedicated to making a better tomorrow for our families, our friends, and our planet. Together, we hold the power to advance climate solutions, be in solidarity with allies in the fight for justice, restore the promise of our democracy, and protect our lands, water, air, and wildlife. Together, we remain committed to the fight for a healthy climate built on a foundation of environmental, racial, economic, and gender justice. A future where all people benefit from a healthy, thriving planet with a direct connection to nature. As the climate crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, and systematic racism continue to fuel inequity, we will continue to fight for a bold, transformational agenda that recognizes the deep connections between our planet, our humanity, and our democracy. We hope that you'll join us. Bria is now going to go into the specifics on how to sign up right now and get started.
Hello again, friends. So excited to see you again. There are going to be a ton of ways that you can get involved this year. Excuse me. So we're going to start with an ambitious goal of 950,000 voter contact phone calls so that we can turn out the voters who are going to elect climate champions up and down the ballot. We'll also be building the power that we need to hold our champions accountable once they're in office and build lasting, sustainable, and enduring change for every community on climate, environmental, and justice issues. That important work is going to happen this summer and fall. What we can do, what we're able to do this year, depends on you. It's important that we hear from you and learn more about the talents that you have to share, as well as the time commitments that you can make to help us build the most robust voter contact program possible. Now, in order to make that happen, we need to build our power and our capacity now and invite other Sierra Club members and supporters into our work. And there are a few different ways that you can get started right now. So starting next Wednesday, June 13th, we'll have weekly phone banks to contact other Sierra Club members and supporters like you and invite them into our work. You can go right now to sc.org/phone banks to sign up and join us as soon as next Wednesday. Engaging other Sierra Club volunteers is really important because this is going to build the momentum that we need to reach out to enough voters to have an impact this year and for years to come. Now, if those days and times don't work for you, there will be lots of other ways to get involved. In fact, you can help us build and run this program. This year, just like every year, every skill set is needed. So let us know that you're committed to this work by going to sc.org/2022 and fill out that form. Finally, if you're someone who heard our list of states earlier and you're wondering how to get involved in your own state, you can find your state chapter and get in touch with them at sierraclub.org/near-you. Every single one of you is welcome, needed, and can have a role in our team. And if you get involved right now, you can have a deep and lasting impact and help us shape this program and our future. There's a role for everybody in this program. However, I do have a special invitation. If you live in one of our priority states, we want to invite you to make phone calls to Sierra Club volunteers in your state. So if you're in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, or Nevada, we are super hopeful that you'll sign up to make phone calls in your state. And to do that, go to sc.org/phone banks and sign up for a phone bank in your state and maybe some other ones too. So I'm going to give everybody just a minute now to go to those links and let us know how you plan to get involved in this super important political moment. Your hub for all things political, including the things that we talked about tonight, is sierraclubindependentaction.org. And our tech team is going to be sharing that link and some other links with you in the chat. So when you commit to doing something like phone banking, comment in the chat and let us know. Awesome. I see some folks that are getting super excited about getting involved this year. And I am seeing some emails come in saying that folks are signing up for phone banks right now, and that is awesome. Shout out to you all. So excited to see you there. Awesome. We've got a ton of folks getting involved. So we have some different focus areas in different places, but we do have a common set of values. You can get involved to work for a just transition on the local and state level. You can protect clean water, clean air, and wildlife. You can get involved in lobbying state legislators and local officials, electing bold leaders, passing local and statewide regulations, shutting down fossil fuel infrastructure, getting people engaged through outings, or tending to the culture of the local and statewide teams. And you don't have to choose between getting involved on the chapter level or the national level. You can join any activities that make sense for you based on your particular interests, strength, and capacity. Awesome. I'm seeing a lot of folks that are really excited to get involved in their state or local chapter. I see someone who's getting involved in phone banking. Oh my gosh. So excited for all of this. All right, keep putting how you're getting involved in the chat, and I'm going to hand it back over to Megan.
Much for signing up. Seeing your commitments is really exciting, and it's something to celebrate. knowing that so many of you have been doing this work for a while, and we're excited to also bring on the new folks joining tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Laurel now to help us answer some of the questions we've been getting in the chat. Laurel, you are on mute.
Oh, thank you. You'd think after 2 years of doing this, I would be better at that. So we're getting a lot of questions about how we chose our priority date. So I handed it to Sarah to shed some light on that. And then when she is done talking about that answer, I'm going to hand it over to Susana, who is going to talk about what you can do and how you can get involved locally.
Thank you, Laurel. So I would say we looked at the places where there was an urgent climate need on the ballot. We looked at the resources that we had, and we looked at the universe of voters that we thought we as Sierra Club could be the most effective messenger. That does not mean that other states are not urgent. The Sierra Club has a chapter in every state, and all of our chapters have political programs. And like Bria just mentioned, there's a link where you can find your chapter. And if you want to get involved, definitely encourage you to reach out there. And I would also say a lot of our work depends on you. Our goal is to expand the program. If we can get through our voter universe in these initial states that we've identified, we would love to expand and turn our power onto some additional races. So we just need more folks to sign up and help us contact those voters. So please just do get involved on the local level. And if you don't live in a priority state, join our national phone bank. We need folks to call these voters. We have a large universe to get through. And I will turn it back to Laurel for our next question.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Susana, can you talk about what folks can do in their local chapters?
Sure. Take a look at the chapter's endorsement list of candidates. Take a look at how those candidates have fared during the primary. Are there runoffs where it's really important our endorsed candidate gets elected? The political committee of the chapter will be able to assist you in terms of what activities are needed, whether it's coordinating with the campaign folks and looking at what are the important things that are need to be done. Emails to our members, member-to-member communication is so important as well. So that type of coordination, communication back to the political committee leaders in your chapter, in your neck of the woods, very important because they will know, they have a list of the priorities, they have a list of where they will need help. And that is where you come in. We would want you to volunteer and recruit other volunteers to help your chapter win those races that are important locally, which Sarah and the rest of the team have really emphasized right now. Go deep, go local, because those are the issues that resonate with our community.
Thank you very much, Susana. Okay, so I am seeing a lot of questions and enthusiasm for various tactics that we will use to contact voters. And I'm seeing a lot of folks who were here in 2020 and really loved letter writing. Sarah, can you talk about how we will be talking to voters this cycle?
Definitely. I, as I mentioned, also wrote a lot of letters and love letter writing. For this phase of the program that we're in right now, our focus is phone calls. We know that those are most effective. We know based on the research, person-to-person communication is the best way to talk to voters. We heard from Ben, signing up for phone banks can be intimidating. You might think you don't like talking on the phone. We do a lot of trainings. We make it fun. I encourage you to try it if you haven't done it. We would also, similarly to how we had to prioritize our states, right now we are prioritizing our tactics and doing what we know works for this first phase. And in the fall, when we know letters are most effective, we hope to expand our tactics to include letter writing. So stay tuned if you want to get involved. You'll be hearing more from us on various ways you can get involved. But for right now, phone banking is super, super important and the most urgent way that you can help us make sure that we're getting the right candidates elected.
Thank you, Sarah. And I have to say, I am very excited at to be making phone calls again. I'm one of those people who really enjoys getting on the phone and talking to folks. And so I'm seeing some questions about what time we will be doing phone banks. And I think they're going to be kind of depending on what state we're calling into. Bria, can you answer some of those questions?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So we have a few questions about what time phone banks are going to be. We are calling right now, starting next week, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. local time. Now that time includes a training, some time for us to go make some calls together, and some time for us to come back together at the end and talk about how it went. So for Georgia and Minnesota and Michigan, we'll be calling from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern time. But for Arizona and Nevada, right now we'll be calling from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific time. So hopefully that provides enough time options that a lot of folks who want to get involved can get involved in some of those. And we are contacting other Sierra Club members and supporters to encourage them to get involved in this big, important work that we're about to be doing together. And I am really excited about this opportunity. We have I don't mean to toot our own horn, but we have a pretty comprehensive training before we actually go make calls together. I know that making calls is super scary, especially if you've never done it before, but we will be with you every single step of the way. We'll be there for questions. We'll be there at the end to talk about how it went. It's going to be a ton of fun, and I can't wait to see you there. Are there other questions about phone banking, Laurel?
Yes. Thank you for teeing that one up, Bria. So I'm seeing some initial questions about who we are going to be calling for the first month or so. Sarah, can you talk a little bit about who we will be calling and why?
So this first phase of our phone calling, we are calling other folks who are Sierra Club supporters, Sierra Club members, to encourage them to get involved again with Sierra Club. We want to build our capacity before we start doing our voter contact calls. Once we've built up our volunteer capacity doing these first phases of outreach, we will start contacting voters in our priority states. So our phone banks will turn into voter contact phone banks where we let folks know all the information they need to vote, who they should support and why, and how it connects to their community and their environmental priorities. Make sure they know their polling place, all of that good stuff. So this first phase is really, really important to make sure we have enough people trained and ready to go to reach all the voters in our universe.
Thank you, Sarah. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Megan, who is going to close us out for the evening.
Thank you so much, everyone. Okay, we are out of time. If you have any questions that haven't been answered, you can send them to answers.political@sierraclub.org. We appreciate all the enthusiasm and excitement for this program. We will do our best to answer questions that are emailed to us as soon as possible. It's been amazing having everyone on the line. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank everyone who spoke and supported this call. We've heard from so many amazing people about how they've taken actions in large and small ways. And that's really what movements are about. All of us using our voices, our votes, and our connections to make real change happen and move all of us towards justice. I personally look forward to doing this work with you. Since we've come to the end of our call, we're going to say goodbye electronically. In order to say goodbye, you can use the chat on YouTube or Facebook. So please find the chat, insert your goodbyes. We'd love to hear your name, where you're calling from, what you're taking away from this call. And thank you so much for listening in, and we'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone.